Something truly amazing and unpredictable just happened. This show came out of the blue. No one expected this. No marketing, no hype, no nothing. It just dropped, and it is 100% amazing. I did not expect that this year, or even honestly next year, we're gonna have anything remotely close to superheroes from DC or Marvel, let alone actually a DC hit, actually happening. Well, the Penguin is not really a superhero, but you get what I'm saying here. Completely unexpected. And this show is absolutely phenomenal. Episode 1, first 3 minutes, you're already goddamn hooked, boys. It is truly a work of art.
Well, colour me shocked. I mean, who could have predicted that a spin-off TV show about a periphery character from a moderately successful Batman movie would turn out to be an extremely well-written, brilliantly acted, competently directed, and generally excellent crime drama with a complex and sympathetic protagonist, and possibly one of the best comic book.
Oh man, when you see the scene with him and the mother, you do not expect what's gonna happen, and it's just a beautiful. But this is the reality of the world. The Guardians of the Galaxy, when they dropped, and everyone absolutely, including myself, loved it, no one expected it to be a success because everyone's constantly saying, oh, we need big hitting names. People need to recognize them. No, you need a good story. You need good acting. You need good everything. And the audiences will come. The Penguin is going to be an absolute 100% success.
One of the best comic book adaptations we've had in years.
Now, granted, if they can keep this up, I have only seen the first episode. I think only the first episode is currently out. The balls of them just dropping one episode, not all of the season instantaneously. Jeez. Man, you don't even see that anymore, do you? But yeah, if they don't drop the ball here, it's gonna be great.
Not me, that's for sure. The hype around the Penguin was basically non-existent as far as I was concerned, because I was about as enthusiastic for this show as I was for telling my AA sponsor that I'd fallen off the wagon for the third time. Today. And it was only through the combined recommendations of a few people whose opinions I actually respect that I finally sat down to watch the first episodes. And damn, I've got to admit they pulled a blinder with this one. Unapologetically violent, gritty, complex, hard-hitting.
Oh yeah, it's pretty violent. You would not expect something like this to be made in the modern age.
And mature, The Penguin strikes exactly the tone I'd expect from a show like this. Unlike the MCU, whose laughable attempts at producing more grounded and realistic TV content ended up more like Tulsa King mixed with the Teletubbies, The Penguin actually feels.
Can we just not talk about Marvel existing even at this point? I'm tired.
It's like a show written by and for adults, starring actors who can actually act, and a script that.
That is so true. The actors are good here, okay? Can't complain about anything.
Neatly establishes its world and characters within a single episode. The show picks up right after the events of the Batman, with Gotham recovering from the flood that destroyed half the city.
The only thing that I can complain about, by the way, is probably this scene that sets the tone and is the first 2 minutes of the first episode, because you can just see that the background is it's just CGI. Everyone knows that the background here is just blatantly CGI and it looks kind of bad. But that's pretty much it. This is the only scene that you can have objections to because it just doesn't look real in the slightest.
And the criminal underworld reeling from the death of Carmine Falcone. With his son Alberto struggling to fill his dad's shoes and his empire faltering, it seems like a power
Well, thank God he didn't have to struggle for long.
Vacuum is developing in Gotham, and sooner or later, someone's gonna have to fill it. Enter Oswald.
Also, this, I don't remember who this is, but this is an old actor. He had some decent roles, if I am remembering correctly.
Someone's gonna have to fill it. Enter Oswald Cobb, his former right-hand man who now has aspirations to move up in the world, and when he gets into a heated confrontation with Alberto one night, well, let's just say it doesn't end well. It's not long before he...
Well, wasn't really that much of a confrontation, to be honest.
Runs into a local gang member trying to steal his car, but rather than just kill him, Oswald sees something of himself in the kid and decides to put him to work. Heartwarming.
no, he doesn't. I don't agree with this take because you can tell that he wanted to kill him. Okay, he was just like, okay, dragging this corpse around is gonna be pretty annoying, so I'm just gonna get this kid to do it and then off him. That was his plan, and then he decided, okay, he's scared shitless. He may be useful. I don't have any allies, so I might as well just do this. I think that's how it went. Not that. There is this strange, uncomfortable, fatherly almost situation. That's true, but I don't think that was the thing. I think it's just, he's a killer, and at some point the kid's gonna actually get got because he steps out of line.
Stuff indeed, but
you can't promise him to gut him like a fish 2 or 3 times or how many times it happened, and then not fulfill the promise just to cement that the penguin is not a good dude.
things soon go south when Oswald gets word that the Falcone family are moving their drug operations out of Gotham, basically cutting his business off at the knees. Even worse, Alberto's batshit crazy sister Sophia's been released from Arkham Asylum, and
yeah, I have no idea who Sophia is, by the way. This is how good the show is. I'm not a Batman guy. I personally dislike the Batman and Superman. It only can be interesting so many times that Batman trips on his shoelaces that he doesn't even have, then puts his hand up his man boots and pulls out the plan to stop whatever the hell is happening, okay? The only thing I support from DC is After Dark, Vertigo, and obviously John Constantine, the greatest superhero, no, okay, anti-hero, whatever you want to call him, to ever live, okay? That's the only thing I support from DC. Everything else I spit on.
clearly suspects that Oswald knows something about her brother's
But again, even though I am fully a person who does not like the DC universe in general, I will still watch shows, okay? If something is bad and I don't like it in general, it doesn't mean that I'm not gonna watch something that suddenly springs up and is actually good. I am not gonna limit myself. There can be exceptions to almost everything, and I accept that.
disappearance. But what to do? Well, rather than
And by the way, this actress, whoever the hell she is, God, 1, hot, 2. I don't know any DC lore. I have no idea who she's supposed to be, but she's supposed to be pretty insane. And she portrays the mix of insanity, being smart, and whatnot absolutely perfectly. Love it.
well, rather than skip town, Oswald decides to stand and fight, working hard to play his enemies off against each other and bring down the Falcone Empire from the inside so that he can eventually take over himself. And as we soon find out, he's willing to go to some pretty fucking extreme lengths to get what he wants. As a character, the Penguin always felt like a weird, out-of-place addition in the Batman movie, awkwardly inserted into a narrative that didn't really need him, and abandoned when the script decided it was done with it.
I didn't even watch these movies. I have no idea what he's talking about.
The decision to smother Colin Farrell in enough latex to supply a dozen.
Colin Farrell? Jesus. And also had no idea who's playing the role of the Penguin. Okay, Colin Farrell, eh? Okay. Nice.
Of P. Diddy's house parties just to make him look like a fat, ugly, middle-aged man instead of hiring an actual fat, ugly, middle-aged actor was another bizarre creative choice that felt like it was done just to get another big name on boards. So like I said before, I wasn't exactly pumped to watch an entire TV show based around this guy. After all, we've had plenty of other.
I don't think anyone was pumped about this idea in general. But hey.
Other Batman spin-off shows over the years that have ranged from pointless to obscure to downright abusive.
It will be. When it fits a woman.
And that's what this felt like. Just another spin-off show with no clear reason for existing that nobody particularly wanted or asked for.
Again, we never ask for the best things in life. They just kinda happen. Because you don't know what you want in life. Turns out the Penguin is what we all probably want in life. And I am not gonna complain in the slightest, okay? Even after episode 1, even if the second episode drops the ball by 50%, this show is probably still going to be very, very, very worth watching. Even if the quality just decreases by 50%, it's gonna be good enough.
But the thing that the Penguin does so well and so efficiently is to get you invested in its protagonist literally by the end of its first scene. A short conversation with the new head of the Falcone Empire really tells you everything you need to know about what drives Oswald. He's a man born into a hard and cruel world who was forced to become hard and cruel.
Yeah, this scene as an introduction to the character, spot on, spot on. You know everything you need to know. You don't have to suffer through like 15 backstories that are effectively the same thing as in something like what's the stupid Snyder Star Wars ripoff movie called? Yeah, that one. You don't. You don't. Absolutely amazing scene, and you know everything you need to know. No more questions.
Himself to survive, but there's also something else in him that sets him apart from his peers. He aspires to become something better, even if he's forced to become something worse in order to get there. He's a man handicapped by crippling disability who clearly didn't start with any advantages in life, but through ruthless cunning, careful planning, and sheer balls-out bravery, he's clawed out a place for himself in the world. And beneath it all, he's still very much a human being, broken and damaged by a tough life, and the little glimpses of vulnerability and humanity that we see are just enough to make us empathise with him. As he mentions at one point, he's learned how to make himself small so that his bosses can feel big around him, careful never to rise too far or say too much in case he paints a target on his back. And big props.
Imagine that, a smart character actually is interesting. Who would have expected?
To Colin Farrell, who turns in what might be one of the best performances of his career. It would have been easy for an actor to look kind of laughable under all those prosthetics, but the strength of Farrell's performance shines through so that you kind of forget he's even wearing makeup after a while. And that's not to put down the rest of the cast either, who all deliver brilliant performances. Clancy Brown is always dependable as a menacing villain, but the real standout is Kristen Milioti as Sophia, who's...
Yep, again, yeah, she is definitely a standout in this. 10 out of 10.
Highly intelligent, brutal, and always balanced right on the edge of madness. You really feel like she could do anything at any moment. She's a perfect foil for someone like Oswald, and it's going to be great fun watching them spar.
Admittedly, after watching episode 1, I will be disappointed if she just kind of succumbs to some kind of madness or anything like that, because that will be a little bit cliche and unwanted in my opinion. But again, who knows if that's going to happen? Who knows what's going to honestly happen? I have no idea.
You really feel like she could do anything at any moment. She's a perfect foil for someone like Oswald, and it's going to be great fun watching them spar with each other for control of the city. In terms of plot and pacing, if you're a fan of the Godfather movies or shows like The Sopranos, then you'll be pretty familiar.
Hey, if this is like The Sopranos or The Godfather, yeah. Admittedly, I'm already sold. What am I saying? I'm literally as sold as sold can be.
With the story beats at work here, it's your typical organised crime drama for the most part. Lots of plotting and scheming, alliances and double crosses, family loyalties and bitter feuds, but it's all handled pretty competently, and for the most part, I didn't feel like events or decisions were forced for the sake of moving the plot along. Yeah, you could probably argue that Oswald choosing to spare Victor's life was a bit contrived when it would leave him dangerously exposed, and he almost certainly has other men that he can trust at his disposal, but mostly I'd put that down to his more sentimental side getting the better of him. And in some ways it kind of makes sense for him to get someone outside the family who's completely insulated from all this stuff. In terms of the cinematography, one of the things I really appreciate...
Yeah, the choice is questionable, but I think it's good enough.
About the Batman movie was the way it reverted back to the gritty, dilapidated Gotham City that fans of the comics knew so well. Compared to the bland, sterile version that we got in the Dark Knight trilogy and whatever the fuck Zack Snyder was trying to do, the Batman felt like just the right balance between grounded realism and the industrial gothic look of the comics, and that aesthetic gets carried over perfectly well here. It's obviously still based on New York, but run down, neglected, stricken by crime.
Just like the real New York, wow.
And corruption and decay. So basically just actual New York then. We're only one episode in so far, so it's a bit too early to say for sure, but for the most part, I think I'm pretty impressed with what they've managed to do with the Penguin. If I had to compare it to something else, I'd say it feels like the Netflix Daredevil series, something that used its parent
I did not watch the Netflix Daredevil series, by the way.
Movies as a jumping off point to branch off into its own self-contained narrative that's way more violent and mature than anything the movies could ever hope to be. And if that was
I watched The Punisher, though, a bit.
their aspiration for this show, then well, hats off to you, gentlemen. Mission accomplished. Let's just hope you don't drop the ball on this one, because you have my interest so far.
Yep. The show has a lot of my interest, unbelievable amount of my interest. Anyway, that was The Critical Thinker. Bye-bye.